Are you experiencing fear of the blank page? If so, you aren't alone. Many of us have difficulty in getting started on a drawing or a painting. This is particularly so when the outcome matters and the results are really important. Hello, I'm Justin, and I'd like to help you solve this problem. In this video, I'm going to talk about why you're experiencing this problem. I'm going to give you a strategy to help you deal with that and some actions that you can take right now to help you overcome your fear of getting started on a drawing. But what causes this to happen in the first place? After all, isn't drawing supposed to be enjoyable and relaxing? Well, here's the reason. When this happens, it's actually a type of performance anxiety. Have you ever felt nervous, maybe before a big test, or perhaps you had to get up and talk in front of a group of people? It made you feel uncomfortable. When you do something where the outcome really matters, it's quite common to feel some level of anxiety. After all, you don't want to make a mistake. But for some of us, it can get way out of hand and your brain starts to attack you with all of these strange ideas of all the things that could ever possibly go wrong. What if I get it wrong? What if the person I'm doing the commission for isn't happy? What if I make a mess of all those great new materials and waste them? Well, now, I've experienced this many times over the years. And here I'm going to share with you a strategy that I have learned over the years that actually helps me break through this barrier and get on and do the job that I want to do. Now, I'm going to share that strategy with you very soon, but first I just need to say one more thing. If you are experiencing anxiety and you find it difficult to start the first mark on that page, you're not alone. You're not the only one. And here's what it means. You're completely normal. There's nothing wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you can't be an artist. It doesn't mean you can't learn to draw really well. It doesn't mean that there's something broken inside you. That's not true at all. You can go on to do amazing things. This is such a common thing and everybody will experience it sometimes. What it means is your brain is actually really good at finding problems. Now, none of these problems are actually real. They haven't happened and they're not happening now. Now, there's no way to stop your brain from thinking about things, but what we can do is move forward and start regardless, and that's what I'm going to show you now. Now, get yourself a blank piece of paper, sit down and get ready to draw. We're going to start. Now, today we're going to do a series of warm-up exercises. I want you to do these along with me, and I want you to learn them because they're going to help you learn to draw better, and it's also going to help you with your performance anxiety. Now, the critical thing for you to remember while we do these is that the outcome is not the important thing. What goes on the paper doesn't matter. So this is just warming up. If you were an athlete and you were going to go and play sport, would you just run out on the field and start to play? No. You're going to do warm-ups. You're going to get your body moving, you're going to stretch, you're going to get your heart rate up. And when you feel good, that's when you're going to go out and play. And that's exactly what we're going to do today, drawing on these practice sheets. Get warmed up, get ready to go, and then you're going to find it much easier to start. Now, I'm using a sheet of cheap paper here. This is just cheap copy paper. I always keep a ream of this around my desk just so that I can pull out a sheet of paper whenever I need to scribble on something, I need to put an idea down, or just to do these type of warm-ups. Now, just start with some lines. Take a pencil in your hand and draw some circles. Just start anywhere, it doesn't matter. Just start drawing circles. Don't worry about trying to draw a perfect circle. Just keep drawing over the top of the same one again and again. Draw them anti-clockwise. Draw a row of anti-clockwise circles. Then draw another row of clockwise circles. Loosen up your wrist in both directions. Just keep drawing and enjoy the drawing. There's no outcome to be worried about here. You're just practicing drawing circles. And it doesn't mean anything. And it doesn't matter if one circle's better than the other. It doesn't matter if any circles are good, bad or otherwise. Just keep drawing your circles. Draw them. And just feel how it feels and look at how it looks and draw those circles. Once you've got a page full of circles, turn it over. Then you can draw some other lines on here. Draw some long flowing lines. Draw some circular lines. Overlap your lines. Cross your lines over each other. Draw some short stabbing lines. It doesn't matter at all what kind of lines you draw. Just draw lines and I promise you it will start to feel good. Keep drawing the lines and fill up the page. You can look for shapes in the lines that you're drawing, but you don't have to draw anything specific. You can if you want to, but don't worry about it if you can't think of anything you want to draw or you can't see a shape in there. Just draw the lines and enjoy that. Choose some different grips on the pencil. Try drawing in different ways. This is the perfect time for you to experiment and try things out that maybe you haven't tried before, or to practice some things you haven't been so good at. And it doesn't matter what the outcome is, because all practice is good practice and you will get better. Draw some shapes. Draw some long wavy lines. Draw a value scale and practice your values. It doesn't actually matter what you draw. You can draw something real, or something from your imagination, but just make marks on a piece of paper. And I promise you, this is going to help. Now, the way it will help is this. First of all, drawing is a physical skill, and you need to develop your physical skills in order to draw well. And that includes warming up and getting things moving. Just like a musician practicing some scales. They get their fingers warm up, they get their voice warmed up, whatever their instrument is. They don't just go out and perform. They do something first to get themselves ready. And this is what your warm-ups will do for you physically in your hand. The second thing that you'll achieve is you'll get your brain warmed up. If you're having anxiety about getting started, it's because you're thinking about all the things that might possibly happen. But what you've just done by doing your warm-up drawings is you've actually already started. You've done some drawing and your brain knows that you're drawing now. And so it's going to move its focus away from all the possible things that might happen, and you're going to focus much more on what you're actually doing. And the more that you can deliberately concentrate on what you're doing, the better this will work. So just enjoy drawing those lines, and that will take away a lot of the power of that anxiety. Now that's phase one of this process. And for some people, that will be enough. They'll be happy to move on and start drawing from that point. And if that's for you, well, congratulations. Good luck with your drawing. Now, if you're still anxious, well, we've got phase two, and I'll explain that to you now. Grab another sheet of paper and grab a reference for something that you want to draw but you were nervous about. Now, this is important. Do this immediately after you warm up. Now, trust me here, this is going to work. Now, just before I get to the next step, I'd like to ask you a favour. If you're finding this video helpful, please hit that like button. It really will help me. I appreciate that. Thank you. Now, one of the reasons why people are apprehensive about doing a drawing is because they're not sure what to do and they're not sure where to start. So the second phase is going to address that problem. So grab another sheet of paper. It can be the back of one of the other sheets of paper you used. It doesn't matter. Just another cheap sheet of paper. You can scribble on anything. The back of an old bill, just any piece of paper. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take our warm-up and we're going to move it into a research phase. Now, research in drawing is exactly what it sounds like. It's getting to know your subject. Just like if you wanted to talk about something, you might look up some facts on the internet. Well, we're going to do exactly the same thing, only the facts we're looking for are visual facts, and we're going to get them by looking at our object. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at your subject and start looking for lines. In my drawing, I'm doing research on this particular scene that you can see in the photo. So I look for the lines in that. I look for the lines of the creek, and I look for the lines of the sides of the mountains and how things curve and how things move around. And I'm looking just for those lines. And that's where I'm starting. And I'm not worried about any detail at all. I'm not being fussy with any single part of this. I'm just looking at the lines and I'm starting to draw in some shapes. So lines and shapes are the key here. Just look for the lines and the shapes in whatever it is you want to do. Break it down to the simplest things possible. You'll see that I'm using some triangles and some long squiggly lines and just really basic shapes and lines. And that's all I need to do. And once I've got those lines in, I can make a few little notes on a couple of values or whatever, but it doesn't matter. It's just really focus on those lines and those shapes. Okay, we've done that. Let's move on. Let's take another sheet of paper or use the back of the one you just used. And now we're going to focus on values. This is going to be just a values drawing. Use the same reference, do the same drawing. Only this time just focus on the lights and the darks. We don't need to make this really complex. Just look for 3 different values. Look for high value, medium value and low value. So it's just the light, the mids and the dark sections is all we're looking for. And just draw those in. And don't make it complex. Don't look for details. We're not drawing in textures, we're not drawing in space, we're not drawing in anything complex at all. We're just putting the values down on the paper the way we can see them right now. Just remember, the outcome of this doesn't matter at all. You're just using this as an opportunity to do your visual research. You're just looking for the lights and the darks, and that's all. You're not making a finished drawing here. Okay, you can see the outcome. Well, guess what just happened? You've warmed up your hand, you've proven to your hand and to your brain that you're drawing and that you can draw and that it's happening. Then you've taken your lines and your shapes and your values and you've done research on the thing that was bothering you or the thing that you didn't want to start. Some of the information that you didn't know before, how to start, where to start, so on, now all of a sudden you've got that information because you've done a line drawing and you've done a values drawing. You've already drawn the thing twice. So what do you think? Are you going to give it a go or are you just going to watch my video? If you do this, everything in your mind, in your hand will be primed and ready to go. And the process doesn't have to take long. You can do this in 10 to 15 minutes. So doing the drawing, well, you can see how this type of warm-up can translate into a finished work. Everything can come together beautifully if you put in some preparation time and get yourself ready to go. Your anxiety can fade away into the background and doesn't need to be a part of the drawing at all. Once you get going, you're not even going to think about those things anymore. Just like an athlete or a musician, you will play the way you practice. So getting your research in is always going to give you a stronger drawing and a better outcome. I highly recommend that you try this out for yourself. This is a real strategy that really deals with the real problem. And that's the real deal. Now, one more final word before I go. You can use this technique to help you start a drawing that's intimidating you, or help you start a drawing if you can't start one at all. Using this technique will stand you in better stead because you've learned something about your subject by doing your research. What you need to remember is that even if the final drawing doesn't turn out the way you expected or hoped, that doesn't mean that the strategy failed, and it doesn't mean that you failed. It just means you need some more practice. Every time you do a drawing, you're getting better at drawing, whether or not you like the outcome of that particular drawing. The next time you try it, you'll do a better job because of what you just tried. Now, if you're finding it difficult and you'd like more help with learning to draw, link below in the description box is a link to my website www.justindwyerartistry, and there you'll find many resources to help you learn to draw. So good luck with your drawing, and I'll see you later.